Hello everyone again. So this video today is going to be talking about prevention and how we can prevent certain things happening in our lives. And this video is also going to look at preventing stress. In our society, we have a healthcare system and a health model that focuses on treatment and trying to find a cure. We are looking at the after effect of what something does to our bodies, yet we are still in the dark about, excuse me, about prevention. And one of the major topics that I really enjoy discussing is stress and how stress has a huge impact on our bodies, what it does to us in our minds, and physiologically, actually, and inside with our hormones and how it dysregulates our systems and so forth. So um, today, what if we can find ways that will prevent us from having a stroke, having a heart attack, having mild panic attacks, strong panic attacks, or even depression? This is all about taking control. And when stressors happen in our lives, we feel out of control. Stress is usually due to our perception of a situation. When we encounter some form of change or a foreign environment or situation, we become stressed or alert because we are unfamiliar with the situation. Now, let me talk about what happens to your body physiologically when you are in a startled mood or setting. So, if you are hiking in going on a hiking path and you see a snake, chances are that you are going to be startled. You see a rattlesnake slither across, you immediately freeze or you run. This is your fight or flight response. This has been built into us for survival. This is needed for us to escape from danger or fight if we need to. Now, we have to really understand what happens if we are very aware of what happens to our bodies during the state. We are essentially paralyzed. And what is happening to our body is that we are immobile. We can't move, or either we are just going to get the heck out of there, right? So we have to be really aware of what happens to our body is essentially transforming into our overall wellness. So now, today's modern stressors are focused on daily hassles, and daily hassles could be picking up the children from work, running late, picking up the children from school, running late to work, bills to pay, and all these little nags that we have in the back of our mind are piling up. And for some reason, we don't seem to have any way out. We don't seem to have the resources or the connections within our system and our mind to get out. And what I really want to focus on today is talking about how we can really prevent these things from occurring in the first place. And the first thing that I want to look at is that when you are experiencing a modern stressor, for example, when you are sitting in your car and you are in traffic and you are getting frustrated, you're running late somewhere, and you normally feel a surge of some sort of adrenaline, a surge of frustration, anxiety, and we really have to be aware what is happening to our body as we are sitting in that car. The longer that we sit in that state of mind, the more cortisol that's being released into our body, and the more our bodies are going to be dysregulated. And physiologically, it's best to be mindful of what happens to your body in those situations. And one is to take a deep breath. The more that you have control over your body, the more that you're going to shorten this state of cortisol release and feelings of actually just being uncomfortable. And I had this idea that I may have been addicted in a weird way. I may have been addicted to that feeling of stress. that if I didn't have it, somehow my body was going through withdrawals. My brain was aware of it, but somehow it was like a drug for me in a way because I wasn't experiencing these high stressors in my life. I was basically going through withdrawals. And I actually found out through one of my courses that when children uh, experience traumatic events or in a household of stress, they actually have physiologically have adapted to have a dysregulation of cortisol in their body. They have a harder time downregulating their heartbeat, meaning it takes a long time for them to really go back to homeostasis in the set point. It takes a long time for them, for their arousal to come back down versus children that were not in a fearful or traumatic environment. So, knowing this, we have to be really people in those kind of situations really have to be more aware and more mindful of what is happening to their body, because you have the power to control that physiological state just by breath and just by being aware. And the second process of being able to prevent stress in the first place is your cognitions, are your thoughts, how you view the situation. How one person views an exam may be different to another person that's viewing the exam. One may be calm, one may be completely stressed out and maybe on the verge of having a panic attack. And this is all perception. So once we have this cognitive appraisal of how a stress comes into our lives, we really have to, one, control our breath, get our bodies back to a set point of where our heart rate is controlled, where we're not sitting in those yucky frustration and anxiety, anxious feelings. And two, we really have to be aware of how we talk to ourselves. If I have an exam coming up and I say that I cannot do it, I'm not going to be able to do this, I'm so overwhelmed, we are not going to succeed. We are going to let the stressor, the physiological and my cognitions defeat me. The whole purpose of this idea of stress is to have control. Is to feel like you are in control. And how this comes about is just through practice and practice and practice. And I can guarantee you, you are going to prevent your panic attacks, your social anxiety, maybe future strokes or heart attacks. You're going to be able to prevent these uncomfortable feelings just by being mindful of your body and reframing the way that you think. And once we can really listen to how we are talking to ourselves, this is our realities that we are creating in our heads. And I know by you hearing the semantics of my words and my speech and saying that I can't, it sounds ridiculous when it's thrown out there in the universe. But this is often how we talk to ourselves. And we get into this habit of it being okay, this habit of spinning in circles with this negative self-talk. And it took a lot of practice for me. And I noticed that when I had an exam coming up, for example, I would often tell myself, okay, you can get through this, but I can't do it, I don't have enough time, I can't do it. And then I would kind of, it would be like this battle back and forth. Oh, well, yes, you can, you just take it in baby steps, yes, you can. And underlying deep down, I knew that I could do it. I knew that with breathing and with being mindful of what you are capable of doing, I told myself that I can do it and that it's going to be baby steps. Now, I flip-flopped so much in my past of telling myself that I couldn't do it, and those feelings overpowered the feelings that could. So when I told myself that I couldn't do it, that was the darkest time of my life because I got nowhere. I didn't create challenges for myself. I wasn't successful in my mind. I was just in a rut and in a mild form of depression. This is where our cognitions play such a crucial role in how we perceive an event or a life stressor. There are families that have a loss of a loved one through cancer or through murder. And I mean, these families learn to become resilient and bounce back through their prevention, through embracing life, through an understanding, not through these frustrated, anxious, hostile behaviors. And of course, we need to feel these in order to get to the other side. There is no way that we could feel love without feeling unloved in a way. There's no way that we can be happy without being sad. And we need these both yin and yang feelings in order to get to the other side. So with stress, we really have to look at how we can prevent things from happening in the first place. And if we do become defeated by stress, take this as a learning opportunity. Do not sit in your cycles of letting every day be a hassle for you. Do not let it overpower you, and do not let it overwhelm you to the point where you feel completely out of control. Because humans are 100% adaptable. Whatever you put yourself into, if you know that you can do it and you tell yourself that you can do it, you are going to do it because you are not giving yourself any other option. If you give yourself the option to not do it, you will not do it. There has to be something within you that is going to want to excel and better yourself. If that is not found within you, there has to be a starting point for everything and for everyone. So ways that we can really prevent stress are, one, really being mindful, and two, noticing our bodies while we are in that state of arousal and stress. A lot of people really focus on meditation, they focus on exercise, and by meditation, there are different forms of meditation. You can find meditation by sitting alone, and it's just a practice, and you are just essentially kicking out your thoughts, and it's a constant battle of getting clarity and peace versus tuning out your thought process, the chatter that happens in your head. So you can find these forms of meditation in reading, in surfing, doing yoga, because these activities are completely engaging you in the moment. You are not thinking about other things. You are essentially able to clear your thoughts and take a deep breath, or really just engage and zone in on what you are doing without this chatter happening in your head. And it is important that we really become aware of our thought processes and how we talk to ourselves. So what can you do to prevent stress in your life? And what are the pileups that happen that make you feel so overwhelmed? This video is really just about recognizing those pileups and those daily hassles that we have and reframing the way we see them. Just reframing the way we take them on, the way we handle them, or even not zoning in so much on those daily hassles. Taking our energies, just seeing those as day-to-day things, and taking these negative energies, turning into positive ones, and looking at the beauty in life, looking at having appreciation and compassion and gratitude and a non-judgment attitude. And of course, this is going to take a lot of mindfulness and time, but this is the foundation. This is where we need to be more mindful and really understand what happens to our bodies when this stressor happens. And the longer that we sit in these prolonged states of stress and anxiety, the more taxing it is on our bodies. And most of us feel this after a draining day at work. We may have not done a lot physically, but mentally we are just completely wiped out. We can't even get up. We just want to sleep for hours. It's because our bodies are going through a tremendous amount of stress. And we don't want to be in those states for too long. What do we want out of life? We want energy. We want to be vibrant. We want to be able to do multiple things that are going to give us the quality of life. We don't want to be at home and completely drained on the bed and feel helpless. No, we want to have control as much as we can. So figure out what is going to prevent your stress. One is to just be aware of it. Be aware and see how this transfers into your relationships, into yourself, into the tasks that you are thinking that you are not able to do, about your future. So stress is a huge, huge problem in our society because we tend to have a lot of things happening at once. But when one person is having 10 things happening, another person is having 20, and they're able to juggle that with resilience. And how is because they are aware of their behaviors and their cognitions, and they know that they can get themselves through it. So what makes you stressed? I hope you enjoyed this video. What sorts of ways do you prevent yourself from getting there in the first place? And if you don't have prevention yet, what have you learned from being stressed? Okay, this will be the video for the day. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks so much for listening, and comments, of course, and feedback are very much appreciated. Thanks so much, everyone.